So I was going through an old binder that I had. I wanted to see what was in there. I having the notes and stuff like that, all Professor Messer notes and stuff that I had and other stuff. And I wanted to see what I had, what I can get rid of and stuff like that and reorganize it. And I came across this here. This is a printout for the Network Plus NT N10-004. Now I printed this out on August 30th, 2017. It's now 2021. And we are coming up on the Network Plus 8, which is out now because the 10007 expired in September. But it's good until June of 2022. Then it officially expires. But I want to do this video because we talk about how technology changes all the time and how it's hard to keep up with, and the whole cybersecurity thing is just a huge realm of options and stuff like that. But overall, the network in general hasn't changed. And what I've always questioned about, and many people have questioned about too, is when you take these exams, they expire every 3 years. So every 3 years you have to take a new exam, which means you have to pay for a new exam every 3 years, and you have to retake it. Pass, fail, you pay either way. You fail, you have to pay it again. But nothing really changes in them. Everything's the same. Here's something here that you can see, all this stuff is still here. Well, HTTP is no longer. Some things have changed, but overall everything is basically the same. These acronyms that are here, you still have to know. They still exist. Cabling has changed somewhat. They require that you have Cat 6 now and stuff like that, but nothing really overall that really needs you to change every 3 years. Let's just go through this a lot. Here it is with domains, IPv4 and IPv6. There's a small change with that. You know, they want to change over to IPv6, but because they keep saying the IP addresses are running out, but we keep coming up with devices. We keep honestly, the IoT, Internet of Things, I've always said is the biggest useless thing somebody's ever come up with. I mean, who needs a Bluetooth connected or Wi-Fi connected toaster or a coffee pot or something like that? I don't understand. So I think a lot of the IP addresses are going from there. So I think there's a lot but get back to the point here. A lot of this stuff here, when you overall look at it, when a new book comes out, if you look at, there's a way you can check for the changes and what changes and stuff like that have gone. Some wireless changes have gone and stuff like that. Here's the cabling and stuff like that. Back here it even mentions Cat 6. Even back here 4 years ago it mentions about Cat 6. You know, we have fiber optics and stuff like that, what you go to, but overall a lot of it, LAN technology, which is local area network connections. Another thing that's really changed too are they call it topologies. And it's how you set up these networks. Bus network is no longer used. Star topology is no longer used. They more go towards a hybrid topology. But all this is in the very beginning for things. The OSI model has never changed. Network devices. There's some of the things too. You're still being tested, like on the A Plus and stuff like that. You're still being tested on Windows 7. Windows 8, you're still being tested on. In the network stuff, you're still being tested on obsolete stuff, things that have been out of, presence for years and years and years. You're being tested on hubs, but they don't use anymore and stuff like that. When you come to configurations and stuff, you have wireless access points here, and like I said, a majority of it when you take these tests. Troubleshooting common things, crosstalk and stuff like that, that still comes up with cabling. The thing with crosstalk and cabling and near-in crosstalk and stuff like that, that really gets into the cabling, is when you have twisted pair, untwisted pair, and the thing with the cabling and the patch management and stuff like that, when you set up servers and you set up the configurations and stuff like that, or the color coding of the cables. That's not changed, where you have blue, green, orange, and so forth, and brown, and you match it over and stuff like that, But a lot of this stuff here, as you can see, the things are still the same. Gateway issues, wrong DNS, stuff like that. Network scanners, port scanners, cable testers, all that stuff is still around, and nothing's really changed. And I don't get the need for, here's a lot of the acronyms that a lot of the stuff is still here that we still use, point-to-point protocols. VLANs are still being used. They've been upgraded and stuff like that. But a lot of this stuff, I wanted to do this video to really, here's common security threats and stuff. That hasn't changed. You see that in Security Plus stuff, that a lot of this stuff's not really changed. It's still the same. The TCP IP network, the three-way handshake is still the big thing. It all kind of crosses over too between A plus, not really so much A plus, but Network Plus and Security Plus sort of kind of cross over into one another. But as you can see on this first page here, I'm going to hang on to this because a lot of this stuff, it breaks it down a lot easier with this stuff, and it's easier to carry around because it's it's old and stuff like that. You have the class range here for IP addresses and stuff like that, addresses. You have these up here for this. All this is still the same. The ports haven't changed. Like I said, HTTP they don't really use anymore. They switched it over to HTTPS, which is more secure. In fact, Google won't even allow an HTTP website or page to come through unless you meet them standards. Subnetting is still something that's going on. All this stuff, unicast, the PIPA, all that stuff still comes on, and a NAT, and all this other kind of stuff, network translation stuff, distance, all this kind of stuff, configuration stuff, connection issues, router issues, updates, all this kind of stuff, collisions, and stuff like that. And like here we are with the EMI stuff and everything like that. So I was going through all this and I found all this, and I just want to share this stuff to show that I've always questioned it. A lot of people question it too about the network stuff, that you're taking each test every 3 years where you have to be recertified. Now, I don't know who sets that standard for you have to be. Does your company do that? Does what happens if you're not recertified? Is the company going to fire you? I don't know. Here's another one, UTP, which is untwisted pair, which I mentioned before about the cabling. You have twisted pair and you have untwisted pair. A lot of stuff. This stuff here with the separate NIC card, network interface cards, laptops now come with that built in. You can switch them out and stuff like that, but a lot of this stuff is already a part of it. You don't have to do a lot of this stuff. Firewalls, here's some routers, here's some bridges, switches and stuff like that. All these have been converged into one. You can have a router and a switch right in one. In fact, switches basically do a lot of stuff now where they've got firewall-based and web application firewall-based switches and stuff like that, all configured into one, where this one device does one thing. So a lot of that's changed on here. Multi-layer switches and stuff like that. IDS and IPS is still around. Load balancers are still around. All this kind of stuff is still around. All still important. But I don't know who makes the decision on you have to be recertified every 3 years. Is the company going to keep track of it and say, you're coming up on your certification, even though they haven't changed anything? The technology hasn't really changed or nothing like that, and we're still going on with the stuff. Windows is the biggest thing that's really changed, and it's not really changed for the best or anything like that. Windows 10 is now Windows 11, and basically it seems from what I've been reading, but not really well versed in the Windows 11 stuff yet, but what I've noticed is with the Windows 11, it seems you basically got to be A+ certified to install it with your laptop. A lot of older laptops that are maybe 3-4 years old, they're still in good shape and still running and stuff like that, may not be able to. There's a way you can configure and disconnect and disable things to go in there and do that, but if you're not real sure what you're doing and stuff like that, do you really want to be going in there and messing with your configurations in your laptop just to get Windows 11? Or do you really want to pay somebody $150 to go do it for yourself? That's going to take them maybe 30 minutes to do. And most updates and stuff like that don't take long. A fresh install or anything like that, if it goes through, you just follow the configurations, you just follow the things and stuff like that. Most times, 30 minutes to an hour is the most it's going to do. And to pay somebody $150 to do that just makes no sense to me. So I just want to do this quick video and show you something that I found and just give you something to think about on this kind of stuff here.